Bonjour, Jean. Good evening and welcome to Montreal as we're about set here to have the Expos and the Atlanta Braves in a game so very important to both of them, and really a situation for the Atlanta Braves to keep putting the heat on the San Francisco Giants, who are in Houston tonight in a game starting about a half hour from now, and I know John will keep us posted. Last night they fell behind 3-1, guys, and that didn't last for long. 18-5, and they continued their impressive record on the road. I mean, their road record is such that they don't even need a home game.
Well, Chris, the thing about this ball club is they're very confident right now, and even though they fell behind last night, they just keep plodding along. They've got a lot of weapons, and they know that no one can shut them out. They've got so many good hitters in the lineup. They can do so many things to beat you. They've got an awful lot of confidence.
So Bobby Cox, north of the border, trying to see his Atlanta Braves to their third straight NL West, and hopefully for him a World Series berth. Here is our Energizer lineup tonight for the Atlanta Braves. Otis Nixon leads it off in center field. Jeff See-Through Blauser, the shortstop, hitting second. Ron Extravagant, who has been just that, hitting third. The crime dog, Fred McGriff, in the cleanup spot. Terry Pitt in the Pendleton went deep twice last night at third base. It's fifth. David Justice against the left-hander drops down to the sixth spot. Damon Berryhill is the catcher, hitting seventh. Mark Officer Lepke, the second baseman, hitting eighth. And on the hill tonight, Steve Avery hitting ninth against Jeff Fassero, making his 13th start. Was working out of the bullpen until just before the All-Star break. He one of the many reasons, Buck, why the Expos have gotten back into the hunt.
Chris, oftentimes when you take a reliever and put him in the starting rotation, it really frees up his mind because he's got some room to work, and that's what it's done to Fassero. He's got a live fastball, a good breaking pitch, and an outstanding split finger pitch. So what the Braves will have to do tonight is get to him early so he doesn't get to those split finger counts, those counts where he's ahead and can get the Braves to chase that split finger. Defensively, the Expos have a lot of speed in the outfield. Youngster Rondell White, called up August 31st, is a bright spot in the future. Marquise Grissom, Larry Walker, two young veterans in the outfield. Sean Berry and Will Cordero on the left side. Delino DeShields. Veteran Randy Reddy has moved around all over on this field and made a very valuable contribution. Tim Spear works behind the plate tonight. Defensively, this is a play in the game last night that was really a turning point in the ball game. Otis Nixon slaps the ball to the hole. Will Cordero goes to third, and the Expos thought they had an out. Watch the close play here as the base runner slides into third base. Larry Vanover, the umpire, looks as though he got blocked out as Lansing came off the base, and it looked like they got the force out at short. Cordero has made 32 errors, but you must remember he's a youngster, and sometimes he loses his concentration.
Well, that one opened the floodgates for them to bat around in that 7-run fourth inning. Swinging at the first pitch is Nixon. Delino DeShields fields it over to Randy Reddy, and the Expos are ready. One pitch, one out.
You're going to see the Braves do an awful lot of that tonight as they try to get to Fassero. As I mentioned, they don't want him to get ahead of him and then throw that split finger pitch. They call it an electric split finger. It just explodes and the bottom drops out of it.
Well, the man who is up is with the way McGriff and Gant and Pendleton and Justice are now hitting. The man who is up, the shortstop, Jeff Blauser, has been their most consistent hitter. He's been over 300 all year. And I think, Peter, that a lot of people would say MVP on this team, he'd get a lot of votes.
I think it would be unanimous from the manager and the coaching staff, and he'd win fairly easily on the team. He's one of the most underrated players in the league.
And I think that will surprise a lot of our fans, because you remember in April and early May when the Braves were scuffling, it was he that was the one that was driving in all the runs. And what a job he's done defensively this year at shortstop, getting the nod every day, and he'll be there for quite a while. Fouls back the 1-1 pitch, so Fassero ahead of him 1-2. Felipe Alou, partly because of injuries to Ken Hill and to Nabholz and others, went to a different pitching rotation, and boy, that Buck got the Expos right back in this hunt. At one point winning 17 of 18, and Fassero, and a guy that bounced around with a lot of teams, he has really been a biggest story on the hill as anyone here in Montreal.
He really gave him a shot in the arm when they needed it. There's that split finger pitch. It was up and away. Fassero and Kurt Reeder, a youngster that moved into the rotation at the same time, they really got hot together. And everybody knows that you'll ride the starting rotation. how well they pitch establishes the tone of the ball game for you.
2-2 pitch to Blauser. He holds off and pitches inside. Ed Rapuano working behind the plate tonight. Joe West at first, Larry Vanover at second this evening, and Randy Marsh is at third. Blauser swings and misses at strike 3, so 2 up, 2 down for the Braves.
Facero threw a breaking pitch before this pitch and thought it was a pretty good one, so he comes right back with it and gets Blauser to swing at it.
But that was the pitch he did not have. When he was in the bullpen, he was basically fastball with a little bit of a split. He never had a slider. He was always better against right-handed hitters, but he didn't have that slider. In the last 3 or 4 weeks, he's really started using that against right-handed hitters.
And that happens because coming out of the bullpen, you don't have time to experiment or get comfortable with the breaking ball. And it's an opportunity as a starter to go ahead and use it. Got a little more margin of error as a starter.
This is Ron Gant, who has been swinging the hottest bat of all the Braves the last couple of weeks. And you saw the beginning of the show what excitement he gave all of us and everyone watching at home with a 3-run homer off the top of the fence in the 5-run ninth to beat the Reds last Wednesday. He continued on Thursday in another come from behind win against the Reds. And he continues. No, DeShields is able to snow cone it. And a 1-2-3 first inning for Les Expos. So nothing doing for the Braves in the top of the first. We'll be back in Montreal in un moment. 1-2-3 inning for the Braves against Jeff Facero. Now the Montreal Expos of Felipe Alou, and what a job he has done since taking over in the middle of last season. Got them in the hunt last year, and certainly they're in the hunt this year. And here's his Energizer lineup. Leading off is Chancentre, Marquise Grissom. The second baseman is Delino DeShields. Hitting second, Rondell White. Sean Gauche, the left fielder, hitting third. Larry Walker from British Columbia. Cleanup in right field. Sean Berry is at third base tonight, hitting fifth. Will Cordero, Alan Cour, the shortstop. Randy Reddy, the veteran they just picked up a month ago, done a good job at first base. He's hitting 7th spear behind the plate tonight. Le receveur, the lanceur, the pitcher is Jeff Facero, and they're going up against Steve Avery, 16-5. And Buck, the Braves are 26-6 in games that Avery has started this year.
They got a lot of confidence in this 23-year-old left-hander. They know he's going to be around the plate. He doesn't walk anybody. He doesn't give up many home runs. And he's always going to give you a chance to win. Avery is very simple in that he throws fastball, he throws a slurve and a straight changeup. But he's constantly pounding that strike zone.
So the crowd settling in and hoping the top of the order, Grissom, DeShields, and Rondell White, can get something going against Steve Avery. And of course, a nice moment before the game. I'm sure many on the Sports Center and baseball tonight saw really what was a gruesome sight. The ankle, the leg injury to Moise Alou. He was here before the game. He was here last night as well. He came out on the first base side, was introduced to the crowd, the standing ovation. But boy, right when they were getting ready to face the Phillies in that big 3-game set and trying to make a climb the mountain over Philadelphia, Alou gets hurt. But Grissom says, hey, those of us that are around can do the job, and he lines a base hit to left field.
Grissom leads it out with a single. Let's look at the Braves defensively. This is the third best fielding club in the National League. It's Gant, Nixon, and Justice in the outfield. A lot of speed out there. Pendleton and Blauser on the left side. Mark Lemke has been out of the lineup with a strained knee ligament. He played last night. He's back in there tonight. Fred McGriff at first base has committed 16 errors, and the veteran Damon Berryhill is behind the plate. This is a key part of the game, the running game for the Expos. Avery has picked off 14 base runners, and he's also allowed 29. Only Dennis Martinez of the Expos has allowed more stolen bases. Grissom is a very good student of his move. He's really checking him out.
To the plate goes Avery, and the pitch is up top for a ball. Delino DeShields, of course, used to hitting with Grissom on base, so he's an accomplished #2 hitter. He knows that Grissom has won the last 2 stolen base championships in the National League. He's 45 of 55. There's that move. Not the great move, but I guess the close to great move for Avery.
Well, that's a different move because he steps off the rubber and flips from the side. He leads the league with 14 pickoffs, as I've mentioned. Next closest to him is 7. Now he's aware that he's got to protect that catcher behind the plate. There's another different look.
Well, I talked with Avery before the game, and I asked how much more cognizant is he of the fact that they're playing the Expos as opposed to just anyone. He said, well, if it was a year or two ago, much more, and it would detract from me trying to get the hitter out at the plate. Now I'm aware, but I figure if the guys behind him don't get singles, and there's a good pitch there, swung on a miss by DeShields. Yes, I'm aware. Yes, I'll make the moves which are better, and I've been working on it, but I've also learned not to let them rattle me. That's why he thinks he's a better pitcher than he was 2 years ago when he was pretty darn good. 18-8 and MVP in the NLCS against the Pirates. Count is 1-1 to DeShields. Pitch out, nothing doing.
Well, he's a lot older now, Chris.
Yeah.
23.
Yeah, he's real old.
It's interesting here because DeShields, when he learned from Tommy Harper how to choke up on the bat, has been a much better bat control hitter, more natural number 2 guy. He's cut his strikeouts down about 40 thus far.
Pitch is outside, and the count is 3-1. So the Expos trying to get something going. Montreal has stolen 203 bases this year. Next closest in the National League are the Cardinals with 148. The leader in the American League, California, with 156. So by far and away, and there goes the runner, hit and run, and it's fouled off, and the count will be full. But by far and away, almost 50 stolen bases more than anyone else in baseball.
Well, you know, you have to have speed to play successfully in this ballpark because it's a big ballpark. You got to take advantage. Take a look at the break. He didn't get a very good move there as he had to wait for that high leg kick, and then he checks out the foul ball and gets back to first. But you've got to have speed in his field, both offensively and defensively.
There goes the runner again, and DeShields pops it up. This will be out of play. You know, in talking with Tommy Harper, I mean, we're talking 203 stolen bases, and that's the most in baseball by far. But he doesn't think, and maybe, Peter, this is Buckward, because we're talking to a base stealer himself, he doesn't think that they are a gambling team at all.
No, not at all. I mean, Grissom is a great base runner, but he doesn't take extraordinary chances. They're not an out-of-control team at all.
Three-two pitch again, a little chopper that Avery will have to go to first. Does so. DeShields is out, and Grissom on to second base.
Well, here's an example of what starting the runner will do for you. Look at Grissom at first base. Not a great break at all. He's just moving on contact. He knows that DeShields has 2 strikes. Will probably put the ball in play. Avery has but 1 play, and that's to first.
Here is a young man coming to the plate, and you talk about a story. Rondell White began the year and played for half of the year, and probably the best minor league team in any league in the Eastern League, Harrisburg, the Senators, who won the regular season and then won the playoffs. Here he is hitting third in a key pennant game in September. There goes the runner to third. Throw by Berrios. Forget it. Stolen base 46. Un bas volé for Marquis Grissom.
Steve Avery never stopped him at second base. That's the 30th stolen base that Avery has allowed this year. Take a look at the jump at second. Avery looks back, but Grissom gets a walking lead and breaks for third. Berryhill has no chance at all. You can see how easily Grissom steals third. 46 now.
One of the reasons that total is a little bit lower is because this is only his 23rd game leading off. They've hit him third a lot of the season. They've been hitting DeShields first, Lansing second. I think now, from now on, the next couple of years, you'll see Grissom, DeShields 1-2 at the top of that order.
And then Alou in the 3 spot, and Larry Wucker, the cleanup man. Count is 0-2 to White, who fouls it off. Rondell White is 21 years old. From Gray, Georgia, the number 2 pick in 1990, a compensatory pick that the Expos got when they lost Mark Langston, signed as a free agent by California. People forget Langston was here for those 2 months in that pennant drive in '89, the end of the season. White started in Harrisburg, then went to Ottawa in AAA. And combined their 127 games, 90 of them in Harrisburg, had 19 homers, 84 RBI, hit .328 in Harrisburg, hit .380 in Ottawa. For, by the way, the best named team in all of baseball, the Lynx, the Ottawa Lynx. And here he is batting third for the Expos. Quite a story. Inside, count is 1-2.
Well, it's a pretty tough assignment for him right here with a runner at third base. What he'll want to do is just try to make contact. You get the ball on the ground and you got a chance of driving it through the drawn-in infield.
Broken bat, base hit for White. Les Expos take the lead 1-0. I mean, really, you think about Rondell White. I mean, look at all the crowd here. A little bigger throng than there's been at Harrisburg this year.
Good at bat as White was behind 0-2. He fouled off a couple of tough pitches and takes a tough pitch away from him and just hits it over the drawn-in infield. So the Expos jump out on top.
Well, there's an example of how the running game, yes, a stolen base, but also fleet of foot. You get the second on a slow chopper and a broken bat single, and that's how the kind of things the Expos have done. This is Larry Walker, the one real power hitter on the team. Walker this year with 21 home runs and 85 RBIs. Batting average of .276. Gold Glove winner last year, All-Star last year, and a favorite son because he grew up outside of Vancouver, so him being a native Canadian, they like him very much. And actually, he said, you know, from Vancouver, they don't really root for the Expos that much, but he was told that in an exhibition game the other day for the Canucks, they announced the Expos score on Friday night that they had beat the Phillies 8-7. There was a 2-minute standing ovation at the Pacific Coliseum. So there's some Expo fans out on the West Coast here in Canada.
He's been a very important guy in this surge here. He's had 5 home runs in September. He's had a great month. And he is a marquee player.
Up top is Avery, 3-0 to Walker. Avery says that he knows Walker would like it down and away. Now that would normally be an out pitch, I guess, for everybody. Said, I don't really want to work him there, and we've seen him avoid that down and away, and he's been high with some of the stuff.
You could get fooled by Walker's stance thinking that he's vulnerable away. Look how open he is.
Yeah, but he lunges right in, and that time he takes a strike. So see again, Avery not down and away. He said, yeah, that's why he's killed me in the past. You saw the numbers, over 400.
Yeah, he homered off him the last time he saw Avery down in Atlanta.
Off-speed pitch. That's up top, and base on balls. A boot sur ball. And the Expos have their third runner on in this inning. And a quick visit by Leo Mazzoni, the pitching coach, to the mound.
Well, there's going to be a little conversation here about Avery getting ahead. That's the entire philosophy of Leo Mazzoni. You got to pitch ahead. That enables you to get to all of your pitches.
Now, the fact that the Expos have a run in the first inning is big news. I mean, since the break, starting pitchers ERA is 2.84. Now, if you look at all the other starters in baseball, only 3 of them have a better ERA than this collected group of the Braves. That kind of puts that into perspective. This is the third baseman, Sean Berry, the pickoff play. And they almost caught the youngster Rondell White sleeping.
Well, you saw Mark Lemke try to get a knee down and block Rondell White off the base at second. Take a look at the spin move here. Lemke sneaking in behind the base runner, and watch how he tries to block off second base. Throws his knee right down on him.
Avery to the plate off speed is chopped foul by Berry. If you're wondering, the only ones with ERAs better than the Braves staff, Maddox, two of them are the Braves. Maddox and Avery on the Braves, Rio, Apier, and Portugal. Those are the only ones. Sean Berry, one of 2 in the lineup tonight for the Expos that came over from Kansas City. He came last August in the trade for Chris Haney and Bill Sampson. Of course, Haney's done a pretty good job for Kansas City on the mound.
But Berry's done a very good job for the Expos. I mean, you look at his production, 14 homers, 49 RBIs, and only 279 at-bats. I mean, you double that to, close to 30 homers, close to 100 RBIs over a full season. And he's gotten a lot better in the field. It was a very good pickup for them.
27 years of age in his first full season in the majors. Avery ahead of him 0-2. Comes inside, and Berry fouls it back.
Well, Avery's really getting in on Berry right now with 2 strikes. Berry just trying to make contact, and Avery's very slow, deliberate motion allows him to really get that fastball inside the right-handers. It almost lulls them to sleep. They get the feeling it's not going to be very hard, but boy, the ball really jumps on you.
Off-speed pitch. Nice play by Pendleton. Long approach, not going to be in time. And the bases are loaded for the Expos. Off-speed pitch inside that Berry sat on. Pendleton quick enough to prevent it from going in the corner.
Now Terry Pendleton saves a run right here going toward the line with the backhand. Now watch him look quickly. Second base, nothing there. I better go to first, and he tries to bounce it on the AstroTurf, but nowhere nearly in time as Berry has an infield hit.
Rondell White now at third base. Larry Walker, the runner at second base, and Sean Berry at first with 1 out for the young shortstop, man who delivered twice in the Philadelphia series, but in the one we showed you at the beginning of the show, the winner against Mitch Williams in the 9th inning on Sunday, the 5-4 win that allowed the Expos at that time to pull within 4. Will Cordero.
See what he's done with the bases loaded. Once again, Avery has fallen behind, so now as a hitter at the plate, you can eliminate the breaking ball and changeup and just sit on a fastball for a pitch or two.
Cordero will not celebrate his 22nd birthday until October the 3rd. I mean, so you talk about kids. You get a 21-year-old on third base, a 21-year-old at the plate, going against a 23-year-old Steve Avery. Youth is being served in this pennant race. My goodness. What were we doing when we were? Well, I know what you were doing, Buck. Rip, but just foul.
Now there's a 2-0 swing. Avery fell behind 2-0. Cordero could look for the fastball, but he was out in front of it and pulled it foul. Well, Cordero is going to be a very good offensive force for a long time. Look at that swing. Aren't a whole lot of shortstops that wield the lumber like that.
No, that's why they'll put up with the errors. Count is 2-1 to Cordero. Swung on and missed. 2-2.
Well, next spring they're going to try him at third base. They've kind of moved Mike Lansing to shortstop, and they're hoping with that bat potential they can get him over. Philippe's very worried that if he can't get more consistency, that they're going to have a tough time winning with the infield defense that he gives them, mainly because of his very, very erratic throwing mechanics.
Little chopper to short. Braves try for 2. Blauser, Lemke. The throw was wide. Plus Cordero can run. White scores, and the Expos lead it 2-0 here in the first. So there's where speed, although that was going to be a tough DP, but speed throughout the lineup gives you a run, and that doesn't show up in the stolen base category.
Yeah, they didn't have a chance at that because Cordero runs so well. And watch how Blauser has to go in the hole. Cordero, it's out in front of the changeup. You can see that Avery had him out in front, and he's hustling. He knows he's got to hustle down the line to beat this out. It's just not sharply hit enough to allow the Braves to turn 2. Lemke knows that and just takes the force out.
So the 7th man up here in the first inning, the veteran Randy Reddy. Reddy came over from the Orioles system. He was released. The Orioles, he played in Rochester, released in mid to late August. And Reddy, well, he came over here with the Expos on August 11th, singled on his first pitch as an Expo. And he's one of the few veterans, they say, has really been a steadying influence in the clubhouse.
On a team really lacking veterans, he's been a tremendous help to the young players. I mean, he, after he got let go by the Royals at the end of spring training, he really wondered whether he wanted to go back to the minor leagues again. Greg Nettles said, you know, they don't call guys up in the big leagues from the beach. You better go play somewhere.
Keeps an eye on the trail runner, Cordero. Walker at third and Cordero at first. Steve Avery, you talk about laboring in the first inning. 32 pitches, Buck.
He averages 87 per starts. 87 pitches per start.
There goes the runner Cordero. Forget it. An uncontested stolen base for Cordero. Stolen base number 12. So two runners in scoring position, and the count 2-1 on Reddy. Back into the glove of Berryhill. A good heater by Avery, and that's what Bobby Cox has in mind.
Bobby Cox doesn't see too many starts from his starters like this, where Avery has been behind. He's thrown a lot of pitches. He lost his concentration and allowed Cordero to take off to second base. Not very often that he sends a starter to the mound and he labors through the first inning like Avery has tonight.
Big pitch coming to Reddy. Reddy sends it to center field. Otis Nixon draws a beat on it. Makes the play, but the Expos do some damage against Steve Avery and the Braves. We've played one here in Montreal. Les Expos 2. Les Braves 0. All right, John, merci. Fans of all ages here in Montreal. Peter pointed out a lot of youngsters beginning to catch Expos fever. They weren't around the last time the Expos were in the hunt this late. And of course, the only time they ever made the postseason was 1981. They won that mini playoff in the strike year. Lost in the 7th game of the NLCS in the 9th inning. Rick Monday got a homer off Steve Rogers here. And that was the closest they came to the series. Pretty darn close. Just one run away, but they haven't tasted postseason since. Here's a man that is looking forward to a taste of postseason in the National League. Fred McGriff. Close to 100 RBIs. Of course, 6 straight 30 home run seasons for the Crime Dog. Lefty Facero, a fastball to the lefty McGriff, and it's 2-1.
One thing that makes this matchup interesting with Facero is this against the power hitting team is that he has the best ground ball ratio with his sinker of any pitcher in the National League.
Well, he's got that good sinking fastball, the split finger pitch, and watch how, if he can continue to pitch ahead, how he'll be the aggressor. He's got a 2-run lead. Remember, last night the Expos got 3 in the first, but it really didn't serve them very well. Now there's a pretty good pitch. Spear was halfway down to third as he was ready to throw it around the infield.
Now, will the umpire, Ed Rapuano, what will he think about the catcher making a move like that? Nothing?
Nah, he won't think too much of it, but watch the catcher's reaction. It's a breaking pitch. He catches it. He's ready to throw it to third.
As he should have.
There won't be too much said about that.
Full count to McGriff. Leading off the 2nd inning. There's a fastball for a strike. And as we would say up here in Montreal, le trait, the strikeout.
Well, it was a good pitch, but it was well placed because McGriff was thinking about the slider to the outside that he probably thought was strike 3 too. And then he's late on going after that fastball. A good heater on the inside catches McGriff looking.
So 4 up, 4 down against Jeff Facero thus far. Terry Pendleton up. Had 2 home runs last night. So for Terry, who got off to such a horrible start, was sitting, remember, about 150 on May 1st. Pendleton now is average up to 270, and the 2 gave him 16 home runs for the season. MVP and batting champ of 2 years ago. Ripped to right field. This is going to be trouble for Larry Walker. It's a one-hopper off the wall. Walker with a good arm. The throw to second. Pretty good throw, but Pendleton aboard with the double. The first hit of the game for the Braves. 30th double in the year for Terry.
Anytime you hit a ball to right field and Larry Walker can get his hands on it as a base runner, you know you have to hustle. Pendleton has been hot. He takes his fastball up and away from him and rips it down into the corner. Walker plays it perfectly, bare hands it, and fires a strike into second base. But you can see Pendleton with the slide has a 1-out double.
So Pendleton again continues to rip Montreal pitching, and David Justice is up. Justice leads the Braves with 37 homers. I know we just have a handful of games left. The Braves with 10 left after tonight, but Justice with 37, McGriff and Gant with 35. If Justice hits 3 more and either or the other get the 5, so they have a pair of 40 home run hitters here for the Braves. It's only been done 6 times before in the National League and 6 times before in the American League, in which 2 guys on the same team have 40 or more. Count is 1-0 and Justice holds off. I'll give you a hint. 3 of them were the same 2 guys. Do I really need to give you much more? Do we have to go back a few years, but do we think we know who those are, Peter? Some guys named Ruth and Gehrig. Yeah, they did it 3 times. Fastball on the outside corner, strike 1.
The thing about Jeff Fassero is he is tough to pick up. The catcher Tim Spear says he has a tough time picking him up, and he's catching him, and he knows what's coming. Last time out against the Cardinals, they didn't have too much trouble picking him up. 9 hits in 5 innings. One positive there, he didn't walk anybody.
Good fastball again on the outside corner, 2-2.
He's keeping the fastball right down at the bottom of the strike zone, and that's important for him because he uses that split finger pitch. And right there, that's the bottom of the strike zone on the corners with good velocity.
His second strikeout of the inning for Fassero. Justice will sit down.
The strikeout was set up by that good fastball outside. Now that's a split finger pitch. He won't throw too many of them to left-handers, but that was a very good one. And
good time to throw it.
Justice was overmatched.
2 down and Pendleton on second base in a 2-0 Montreal lead here in the top of the second in Montreal. And Damon Berryhill will try against the lefty Fassero. Berryhill came over a year ago from the Cubs. Way behind that pitch by Fassero, strike 1. Olsen caught last night. He's still not quite back.
No, he hasn't. Berryhill's done a nice job with this staff. I mean, everybody knows that Javi Lopez is going to be their catcher next year, and he is a potential star, but Bobby Cox wants to go with the veteran receiver handling this pitching staff, and Greg Olson has done such a great job with the staff over the last 3 years.
Look at Greg Olson as Berryhill chops it foul. So Fassero was ahead 0-2.
Let me tell you something about this catching position on the Braves. And I'll tell you that catchers are very important. You know that. But how'd you like to have a pitching staff like this to work with? I mean, he can make an awful lot of very mediocre catchers look good. Anybody on this staff. They all have a good idea what they're doing on the mound. They all have a good selection of pitches. And they're not afraid to throw it over.
You would have hated to catch this staff, wouldn't you? Inside fastball, it's 1-2.
Well, the thing about it, they're confident. You have to be confident when you go to the mound, and you have to want to throw the ball over.
Here's Steve Avery, who struggled in the first inning, but remember last night the Expos scored 3 times off John Smoltz in the first inning. They ended up winning 18-5, so those 3 runs were kind of a blip on the radar screen by the time it was over.
Kenny Hill was really hurting last night.
Yes.
That was very obvious. His stride is very different. They're even talking about not starting him again this year. He needs some time to get over the pulled groin and get back to normal for next year.
1-2 pitch to Berryhill. He tried the inside fastball. He's got good pop on that fastball, which is all the more impressive, Buck, I guess, with the way that he throws a good curve.
Yeah, and he's not missing by much. He's been all around the plate tonight.
Well, he will top out at 94. They get him normally at 90 to 92. And of course, that's on the jugs gun. It's a little fast, but he's got a well above average fastball, which is great down in the strike zone. I mean, a guy that throws that hard has only allowed 7 home runs. It's pretty good sinking stuff.
An ultra retrait. 3 strikeouts here for Facero in the second. 2-0 Montreal. Back in Montreal, the Expos lead the Braves 2-0 in the bottom of the second inning against Steve Avery, the 8-9-1 hitters. Tim Spear, the catcher, Facero, the pitcher, and the leadoff man, Marquise Grissom, who began the 2-run rally in the first with a single. Added a stolen base, went from second to third, scored on a single by the youngster Rondell White. Second run scoring on a fielder's choice by Will Cordero. Count is 1-1 as Spear fouls it back. Spear, Darren Fletcher is the normal catcher here.
Take a look at his foul tip. That's not quite as violent as it looks because he's wearing that hard hat. There's not really much resistance for his mask strap on his head.
Is that as violent as that look?
Yeah, that was pretty violent. I'm not suggesting that you stand out there and have people hit balls off your mask, but it's really not quite as tough as it looks.
With 2 swings, Spear has almost KO'd the catcher and taken out half the dugout, so he's doing a heck of a job. Where will this one go? Nowhere. Strike 3. Spear will sit down. First strikeout of the night for Steve Avery.
Avery gets that fastball right on the corner. Spear knew it was there. Let's see if Avery now here in the second inning can develop the pattern of getting ahead.
Facero has been to the plate 36 times as a major leaguer. He has 2 singles.
Felipe Alou says he knows now why he was a middle reliever so long. He didn't want him. Nobody wanted him to hit.
Count is 2-0 to the light-hitting Facero. Fastball inside part of the plate for strike 1. Facero rattled around, was signed by the Expos on the 6-year minor league rule. He had been in the, there you can see the form that is 2 for 36. Count is 2-2. He'd been with the Cardinals and the White Sox organizations. 30 years old, got a shot with the Expos. 29 last year, did well in relief, and he'll sit down. A pair of strikeouts for Avery. Well, Avery's kicking off a much better second inning, and we kick off college football tomorrow night. Our weekend kickoff show, Chris and Coach Craig, 7:40 tomorrow night, and then we get set for Kentucky at South Carolina. Gamecocks at home. The dangerous Wildcat team, Pookie Jones and company. That's Thursday Night Football on ESPN. Pookie, is that like Youpie, the Expos mascot here? Youpie, the judge. Marquise Grissom looks at ball 1. There's Youpie. One of the favorites of our producer, Jay Cutlow, Youpie. We make the circuit around the parks. Jay always looks forward to having a few words with the Youpmeister.
Boy, they do some crazy things in this park. What I miss are the chickens up on the scoreboard. They used to come up every time anybody threw to first. They once had, I believe it was 14 chickens up on the board cackling all at the same time with Tim Raines on first base.
The Youpie delivers drinks there, huh? And hot dogs. Well, this is the Olympic Stadium next year, the orange roof. As the count is 3-1 to Grissom. The orange roof, which is kind of an eyesore, really. It's the inside, as you call it, Buck, of a basketball. They're going to take it off next year, the $100 million roof, because they need a full year to fix it. So September games will be interesting in here in Montreal. This is a long run, but justice is there. And a much different second inning for Steve Avery than was the first. We have played 2 in Montreal. The Expos lead it 2-0. All right, John, thank you. Key against Guzman Friday night, Buck. That'll be a pretty exciting 3-game series up in Skydome.
Certainly contrasting styles, and Key is the type of left-hander that always gives the Blue Jays problems. Changes speeds, turns that sinking fastball over, and has a great changeup.
The Yankees pretty much have to sweep that series, even though Toronto has some dangerous games ahead after. 8-9-1 for the Braves here in the third. They trail at 2-0. Lemke, Avery, and Nixon against the left-hander Jeff Fassero, who looked very sharp tonight, and starts off Lemke with the strike. Remember, Lemke was out last week with a knee injury, and now he has a slight hamstring pull, so he's going towards the end toward the wire here, a little bit beaten up.
He had a shoulder problem, then he strained a ligament in his knee, and now he's playing with a slight strain. I asked him around the batting cage how you feel, and he says, I don't know, I haven't checked everything yet.
1-1 pitch to Mark Lemke. Misses. 2-1. Fassero struck out the side of the second, had a strikeout in the first, so very early on he's been impressive. 2-1 pitch to Lemke from Utica, New York, so he's actually playing close to home. This is an almost home game for him in Utica. So some of the TV crews from Plattsburgh and upstate New York, Burlington, Vermont. It's almost, that's kind of Expo country, bleeding south of the border in New York and Vermont. Scramble to short. It's going to be a long throw for Cordero. Well, that's one of the reasons why they like him. He has got the gun, and we just saw it.
Well, you have to remember how young he is. You put him out there every day, and he's going to make a lot of mistakes, but watch how he plants and fires. He's got a strong arm, but as Peter mentioned, there has to be some work on his mechanics. He needs to get a little more drive in there, but makes a fine play right there. Strong arm all the way across the infield for the first out of the inning.
The pitcher, Steve Avery, up. He's a pretty good hitting pitcher. Abe's hitting 174 this year. 16 hits, 4 of them are doubles. A 184 lifetime hitter. He was when he didn't pitch in high school in Michigan, he played the outfield, so he could handle the bat. There's a strike by Fassero, and the count is 0-2. Avery, Mr. Baseball in Michigan in 1988. Grew up in Taylor, Michigan, not very far from Detroit. Grew up a Tiger fan. And of course, he's a big fan in '84. So I asked him, who were your favorite pitchers growing up? And I mentioned Steve Carlton. He said, nah, too old. Steve Carlton. I mean, I didn't want to say Koufax. I'm trying to think of left-handed. I said, all right, Mark Langston. I tried to work a little closer. Well, he's more of a power pitcher than I am. He said,
Did he
nobody
say Maddox?
Yeah. Nobody really. That's Fassero's 5th strikeout. Nice job on the outside corner for Fassero. His career high is 10 and came on August 30th against Colorado.
Just a fastball. He knows he doesn't have to do too much with Steve Avery at the plate, but he's had good command of that fastball. He's been able to spot it on both sides of the plate.
So 2 down, the base is empty. 2-0 Montreal here in the top of the third. Chris Berman, Buck Martinez, and Pierre Gamin. So not far from your heritage. Found out something about you last night I didn't know. A descendant of Ethan Allen and the Green Mountain Boys in Vermont. Here we're calling you Old Hickory.
I looked out on the Green Mountains today, matter of fact.
Beautiful day up here in Montreal. First day of fall. Strike by Fassero, 1-1. Otis Nixon has been quite the catalyst. The last 9 games, for example, he scored 17 runs. I mean, this just in. 2 runs a game is pretty good.
Way to go, Chris. You're really picking up on this game.
I've done this for 4 years. I think I'm getting, how you say, the hang of it.
That's something that gets lost because the Braves have such an outstanding pitching staff. The fact that the Braves now, with the addition of Fred McGriff and the maturation of Blauser at shortstop, they have the entire package. Otis Nixon provides them a very legitimate leadoff man.
Yeah, they do. If you look at all the clubs, the leadoff man, the number 2 hitter, Blauser, power hitters like Gant, McGriff, and Justice and Pendleton kind of in the middle. The defense is very good. I mean, they can beat you in a lot of ways. Everyone talks about the pitching, but the impressive thing has been the hitting lately. I mean, that's pitching is almost a given, which you shouldn't say. We've talked about how Blauser has been all year. They have all the parts, do they not? 2-2 pitch to Otis. It's outside. The count is full.
When they were going over this lineup with Facero tonight, what they were trying to emphasize with him is that these first two guys are the key, because Jeff, because he hasn't started a lot, has some problems fielding, has problems holding runners on, is very prone to the bunt. They feel Nixon is the key guy in this lineup against him.
Ripped to right center field, and this is going to be trouble. Nixon can fly. Grissom to the wall. Otis rounds second base and heads for third. The relay, and Nixon is held at third base. Well, they're playing Nixon in on the turf, and the way the ball scooted and Otis can scoot, I thought for a moment we might have an inside the park circuit.
Well, with 2 strikes, Nixon just puts the bat on the ball, and right here you can see that it's headed up the gap all the way to the wall. They were playing very shallow, and look at the speed. He's checking it out right there, makes a great turn around second base, and now he's thinking, where am I going from here? But Jimmy Williams, the coach, is throwing up the stop sign already with 2 down.
So Otis on at third with 2 out, and Blauser up. His third triple of the year. An amazing stat, and we talked about it last week when Nixon had a triple. He has never hit an inside the park home run in the major leagues. I'm amazed at that. He will. What are you looking at me for? I'm just saying he will.
He will. You know, a lot of those things are fluky. Little bloopers that come in and everybody goes for it and bounces over their head.
Count is 0-1 to Blauser. Don't look at me like I just said I'm going over to take over for Yeltsin and Russia or something. I mean, what was that look?
They are, but that's a very fluky play, because, I mean, for instance, you actually get more inside the park home runs in a place like Fenway Park because of all the angles and outfielders running into the wall than you do in a symmetrical park.
Nixon, runner off third, inside fastball, misses to Blauser. Count is 1-2. 2-0. Expos lead the Braves. Here in the third inning, John will keep you posted on the Phillies. Montreal begins 5.5 behind on the Giants. The Braves lead the Giants by 3.5. And of course, you've already seen some American League highlights tonight. Misses 2-2. Pizarro thought he had his 5th strikeout. 6th strikeout. He has 5. Been very impressive. He's got to worry about Nixon dancing off third base. Blauser rips it to the corner, and it's foul. Down near the 99-meter sign.
Well, that was a breaking ball that he left up in the strike zone.
325 pieds. Feet. 325. Basic elementary French. We're giving it's kind of a dual thing tonight. It's baseball and basic conversational French. Count is 2-2. Blauser has been such a good hitter with 2 outs this year. Not on that one. Strikeout number 6 for Jeff Facero. He has stymied the Braves through 2.5. 2-0 Montreal. Welcome back to Stade Olympique in Montreal, where the Expos lead Steve Avery and the Braves 2-0. 2-3-4 batters for Montreal. DeShields, White, and Walker. Coming up, DeShields with those high socks, reminiscent of a man that played here some years ago, a man whose number is on the, he's retired here with Montreal, Le Grand Orange, Rusty Staub. There's a pitch by Avery in there for a strike. Count is 1-1, and Rusty numero 10 along with Gary Carter's number 8. The number is retired here for Les Expos. I'd like to think, even though he went on to the Cubs and won an MVP and is finishing up with Boston, that when he retires that they do the same for the Hawk, Andre Dawson. I think they will. Ripped to center field. Back goes Justice. Back. Loin. He made Justice. That really is almost dead center field.
Well, they play him around the other way. They don't expect the Shields to pull too much. He didn't really pull that ball. He just hit it in the alley in right center. But Justice had a long run. Look at the extension that the Shields gets here, out away from him, and he really drives the ball. But Justice, 2 strides on the warning track, makes a fine running catch.
Made that pretty rather nonchalant, very smooth play by Justice on a long run as Rondell White, who singled in a run in the first inning, fouls it back. Justice, is, we've talked about this many times, he's just improved dramatically, I think, this year. Although last year he feels the same. Defensively, I think he's a much better player than we've seen. This is Rick. Noir, Noir, Noir. Au revoir. Un circuit pour Rondell White. He began the season in Harrisburg in Double-A. Here on September 22nd, he goes way deep off Steve Avery. The Expos lead at 3-0 home run number 2 for 21-year-old Rondell White.
Avery hasn't had good command all night long. You can see that pitch is right up around the letters, and White's expression tells you what he thinks of that one.
It was
crushed that ball.
Slugged. I've been working on that one for 3 years. Roger Brulette, the announcer here, the French announcer for the Expos. Back would be Loin. I've been sitting on that one for 3 years.
The talent in this organization is staggering. When we see the young, I mean, the Shields and Grissom, these guys are extremely young, but Rondell White and Clifford Floyd.
Rondell White, here's Avery's reaction. Only the 12th dinger he's given up in 208 innings. This one is hit to short left field. Gant coming in, and Larry Walker is out. Let's kick it over to John Saunders, eh?
Budweiser taking us out to Cleveland. Now the Orioles and the Indians. Sandy Alomar fights this one out to right field, and look how far he fights it out there for a double. Lewis comes in to score, and Cleveland has taken the lead over Baltimore. It's now 2-1 in the 6th. Let's go back to Montreal.
All right, John, thank you. As Sean Berry looks at ball 1. But Peter, the youngsters, Clifford Floyd is 20 years old at what, 101 RBIs in 101 games in Double-A?
An absolute monster of a young player. Huge, 6'4", about 220 pounds. Great basketball player in high school in Illinois. They have a kid named Murray who hit 30 home runs in the minor leagues. Curtis Pride is a great story. It looks like he has a very quick bat, and they have as much young pitching as any team in the minor leagues, except for the possible exception of the Chicago White Sox.
So you talk about them keeping, as you talked at the beginning of the show, much of their young players. 10 of them can go to arbitration. And with this influx coming up, this is going to be a force. Even though the Braves are going to be in Montreal's division, in the new Eastern Division, this is a club that Felipe Alou can't wait to just watch go to spring training next year, I got to think.
I don't think there's any question.
Berry fouls it back.
They really think they're going to be able to afford. They think that the market is going to be a little bit better. They can the arbitration jump with a lot of those players is not going to be too significant. They think the revenue sharing thing is going to come down. I mean, the Expos are one of the leaders of the 9 National League and 8 American League small markets that are telling the big markets, unless you give it to us, you can't televise games out of our ballparks.
Long throw for Blauser. Too long as Berry beats it out for his second infield single of the night.
Well, Sean Berry beats it on the ground on the left side, and it gets into the hole at shortstop. And he knows this has got a chance for a base hit. Once again, he's hustling down the line. Beats it out. Jeff Blauser couldn't make the play from deep in the hole.
Bobby Cox watching Avery struggle tonight. Expos have amassed 3 runs and 5 hits. Will Cordero drove in a run on a fielder's choice. The shortstop, 21 years of age, from Puerto Rico. Clock can't get over. I mean, that ball was slugged by Rondell White. It's exciting to come watch this club, and most everyone, even DeShields and Grissom, they're mysteries in the United States. I know we have great baseball fans that watch us and know the players, but this is the most unknown club. I mean, they've won 17 of 18 to get back in this thing, or did till the last couple days, and yet they're secrets.
You know, it's interesting about this club in this day and age. No one is signed for next year. That's unusual.
There's that short pickoff move. Peter, with the guys going to arbitration after the 3 years, will the Expos try and tender some 2- and 3-year contracts to a lot of these guys?
That's what they're going to try to decide in the next few weeks. Claude Brochu, the owner, and Dan Duquette, the general manager, are working on that right now. And I would be surprised if they didn't try to sign up Walker, Grissom, DeShields, and John Wetland, who's been, of course, just an absolutely dominant closer. They think if they can keep at least 5 or 6 of those guys, Facero can go to arbitration, and he can go in another year. Dennis Martinez undoubtedly will leave at the end of the year, and there really isn't any plan to bring him back.
Well, that'll open up some salary for him. He's the highest paid Expo. Dennis will pitch tomorrow night against the team that he almost pitched for, the Atlanta Braves, team that claimed him a few weeks ago. Cordero, count us 2-1.
With the young audience that they all of a sudden have got here, it's a totally different audience. An older audience with the Canadians. All of a sudden, the kids in the city have really caught on. They think that maybe this team is going to be a source of a lot of civic and Quebecois pride.
Inside pitch hammered by Cordero. This will rattle to the wall. Running with the 2 outs is Sean Berry. A quick relay. Lemke bobbles it though. Berry scores. 4-0 Expos. They are rattling Avery tonight.
Well, Steve Avery hasn't had good command all night long. He's been up in the strike zone, and the Expos are taking advantage. Justice gets to the ball quickly and fires it back for the relay, but it one-hops Lemke at second. He can't find the handle. They had a shot at the base runner Berry. Take a look at it here. He knows with 2 outs he's off on contact, and now he's thinking about scoring all the way around, but they couldn't execute the cutoff and relay.
Lemke is ready for the hit by Randy Reddy, and he makes the play to McGriff. But 2 RBIs for Will Cordero and 2 RBIs now for Rondell White. Youth going after youth tonight after 3. 4-0 Expos. Of course, Darren Lewis playing hurt. Giants seeing the score up on the Astrodome board, no doubt, 4-0. Know that going into Houston, they had to take 3 of 4. And, of course, they've split thus far. But it's a rare night that Steve Avery has gotten pounded as he has. Of course, we saw the Braves score 18 runs last night. So, I mean, let's not get carried away. But so far, the Expos and Facero ahead of Avery and the Braves 4-0 as we begin the 4th. The heavy metal here are the Braves order. Gant, McGriff, and Terry Pendleton up, with Justice to follow. Now, the Giants know at this point that this is the week that they must make a move on the Atlanta Braves. Now, I know there's 2 weeks to go, so I mean, either week will do, I understand, but this is when the Braves play here and tonight and tomorrow, and then go into Philly for 3 more before Atlanta closes out at home against Houston and against the Colorado Rockies. Against 2 of them, I think they're 10-0. The Giants, after tonight and tomorrow at Houston, go home for 4 against the Padres, 2 against the Rockies before they finish at LA. The point being is that if Atlanta is going to stumble at all, it's going to be in Montreal and Philadelphia. And what the Giants are frankly looking for is for Cox's club to maybe go 3-3 in these 6 games.
Well, Bobby Cox knew when he came into Montreal that they had the capabilities with their pitching staff of providing some pretty stiff competition. He was really surprised by the 18 runs last night.
1-2 pitches outside again.
Well, in the next, they get Dennis Martinez tomorrow, and then they get
Schilling
Green,
Friday,
Jackson, and Schilling in Philadelphia. This is a pretty tough road trip.
Schilling on Sunday. Glavine goes for Atlanta and Philly on Friday night. But obviously could be the preview of the NLCS. Count is 2-2 to Gant. We told you how good Atlanta has been on the road since the break. 26-5. There's his shot to the second base. The Shields. Whoa! And Gant beat it out. See, there's Hustle on a slow ground ball, and Gant's hustle enables the Braves to get a base runner. Only their third tonight.
Boy, you can't leave the door open a crack with these guys. Joe West calling Gant safe at first base. Now watch the Shields. See how he gives too much ground there. Now he has to turn all the way around to make the play, and Gant beat it out.
Good call.
Up and away from him, and he's got his eye on Grissom or the Shields. He knows that he gave too much ground away.
And he knew the call. Hey, there's an example to our youngsters watching at home. Guy with 35 home runs hustling on what looks like a routine 4-3 play.
Now that's why Ron Gant is usually referred to as a player's player. He plays hard from first inning of the first game of the season right on through the end. A real gamer.
And a real gentleman, too. So maybe that's the opening that the Braves need. They trail it 4-0. McGriff is up. Fred struck out in the second inning against Facero with a curveball this time. It's 1-0.
Well, Gant's hustle has caused Facero to work from the stretch for just a second time tonight. He has been breezing, working out of the windup.
On the outside corner, count is 1-1. Facero has given up a double, a triple, and now the infield single tonight. And he'll keep an eye on Ron Gant, who you know can run. Member of the 30-30 club twice, and this year Gant has 22 stolen bases in 30 attempts.
You know, you can never really take for granted that the Braves won't run. It's early in the ball game. They have plenty of time, and that's one of their valuable weapons. McGriff called timeout. Another reason you run. Facero doesn't have a very good move. He's not really comfortable with runners at first base, and Tim Spears only thrown out 22% of the runners. So Bobby Cox is not in a position to give away one of their best weapons, the running game. Fred McGriff is such a good hitter that it's not going to bother him to have the runner break at first.
Here goes Gant. The throw by Spear. It bounces into center field. Gant now will get up and trot to third. So stolen base number 23 and an error to the catcher. And it just shows you again the hustle by Gant on a routine ground out. And now all of a sudden the Braves have a runner at third base with none out.
Gant gets a good jump. Spear, the catcher, sees it and rushes the throw. He throws it in the dirt. Cordero can't come up with it. And Gant finally locates the ball in center field, gets up and moves into third base. That's why you run when you're 4 down. You create some havoc, put the pressure on the defense.
So a little nonchalance by Felipe's Expos has at least allowed the Braves to get their third runner in scoring position. All 3 guys been on base have been in scoring position, but Facero with pitches like that has kept any of them from crossing the plate.
Fred McGriff looked like he really got fooled on this pitch. It's a breaking ball down and away from him. You don't see him take too many weak swings.
And for the Expos, they made their 148th error. Only the Padres and the Rockies have more in the National League or in either league. So that's one of the drawbacks of youth. Make more of them. And it's put them in a little bit of a pickle here.
Let's watch and see where they work McGriff now. They struck him out with an inside fastball last time up, and Fred McGriff is very strong down and out over the plate. He can hit the ball out anywhere in this ballpark, as he did last night with that grand slammer to center.
2-2 pitch to McGriff, and another strikeout for Jeff Fassero.
Fassero's doing a good job of crossing up the Braves. Atlanta didn't think that he would throw many split finger pitches to the left-handers. And look here, he gets McGriff. He crossed him up. They've got a scouting report on him that says, yeah, he'll throw the split finger to the right-handers, but not very often will he throw it to left-handers. Right there, he gets a big strikeout of Fred McGriff with Ronnie Gann at third base and nobody out.
Set Letray, 7 strikeouts tonight for Jeff Fassero. We told you his career high is 10 a couple weeks ago against Colorado, and he starts Pendleton off with a strike.
You know, it looks as if Jeff Fassero was in on the hitters meeting for the Braves. The game plan was swing at his first pitch, and he doesn't throw many split finger pitches to left-handers. He's starting hitters off with the split finger pitch, as he did with Terry Pendleton right there.
It's an interesting scouting report, because if you go back prior to the last 2 starts, he actually was throwing quite a few of those split fingers to left-handers. He says if it's working, he'll stay with it, because there are very few left-handers who do throw them to left-handed hitters.
You remember David Cohn earlier saying that Jamie Quirk talked him into throwing his split finger to right-handers. He never thought of it before. But when you think about it, the split finger pitch just goes down, acts like a very wicked sinker ball, so why not throw it?
Well, how many other left-handers can throw one that basically stays right in that 83 to 85 mile-an-hour range? I mean, he's got a real hard one.
If Fassero can continue this 3 months of brilliant pitching for him next year and the year after, he'll be that much more of a better pitcher when the Expos field better behind him, if he's that sort of ground ball pitcher. And wow, strikeout number 8 as Pendleton will hit the pines. Fassero throwing pretty good, John Saunders, eh?
Absolutely, and Budweiser takes us to Toronto now, where Ed Sprague is having a big day. This is second hit of the game. John Olerud comes around to score. The throw is cut off. Tony Fernandez is caught in nowhere's land. He goes down, but the game is tied 2-2. Now in the 5th. Back to Montreal.
From Toronto to Montreal, the Air Canada shuttle here on ESPN. Oh, but wait a minute. Jimmy Williams, the third base coach, and now Bobby Cox coming out to talk to the umpire, Ed Rapuano.
Terry Pendleton was in the dugout, and he was giving Rapuano what for on that last called strike. Jimmy Williams came down from third base to deflect the argument. Bobby Cox now out from the dugout. But Pendleton obviously upset by the call, letting the umpire know about it. See, this is pennant race baseball. A little tense down there. Hey, Pendleton's yelling from the dugout. Now Cox wants to make sure that he doesn't get thrown out of the game. So get back in there, Terry. I'll take care of this.
David Justice struck out in the second inning, and now he'll give it a go as Pendleton tries to cool down. Rapuano, young umpire from Connecticut.
I think more than anything, the Braves are frustrated by Fassero and the way he's mixing up all his pitches. They're really in between as to what to look for.
There's a fastball missed high, 2-0.
We've seen Fred McGriff take some real funny swings. We've seen hitters looking out over the plate when Fassero's coming inside. So he's doing a real good job of mixing up his pitches and keeping a good hitting ball club off stride.
This is to second guess Ronnie Gann stealing, but he is a very different pitcher with a runner at second or third than he is with a runner at first, is he not?
Yeah, he is much more comfortable without anybody at first base.
Well, Gant's been standing at third while McGriff and Pendleton have struck out. There's a good curveball to Justice.
Look at how Justice, he was thinking fastball. 2 balls, no strikes. Rosero comes with a breaking pitch. He's been throwing it all night long and getting it over.
Fastball missed up top, little outside, 3-1. Well, I guess Steve won't be throwing the knuckler. He's biting the nails. Marvin Philadelphia Freeman has gotten warm in the Braves bullpen. Not often the call goes down to the Atlanta pen in the 4th inning. Curveball just is held off. Strike 2, 3-2.
Well, I tell you, he's got a lot of confidence to throw that breaking ball when he's behind. Watch this check swing. Justice is thinking fastball, swings at a fastball, and checks his swing. Can't hold it back.
As we were talking about earlier, that slider is the pitch he never threw until this year. He just added that when he went into the starting rotation.
Crowd hoping Facero can strike out the side for the 2nd time tonight. We're only in the 4th. Bounced that one way outside. A good play by Spear to keep Gant at 3rd base. And now the Braves have runners on the corners with 2 outs. And Joe Kerrigan will come out to talk with his pitcher.
Well, interesting timing for me. Let's look at ball 4 here. He went with a breaking pitch again, and that might be why Kerrigan is out there. Said, hey, wait a minute now. You got a 4-run lead. You got a 4-run lead in a situation. Don't be walking a guy to set up a 3-run homer with your 2nd best pitch. Just a little reminder about pitch selection. Now he's got to work with a runner at 1st.
Two on for Damon Berryhill. 7 home runs on the year. Hope you're enjoying the action from north of the border, where the Expos, Rondell White and Will Cordero, 2 RBIs each. Jeff Facero, master on the mound thus far, and the Braves trailing Montreal 4-0. Rip up the middle. This will get Gant home. Berryhill breaks the shutout, and the Braves have pulled it within 4-1.
How many times do you see a pitching coach go to the mound, and then the first pitch the pitcher throws is a fastball to get ahead? Damon Berryhill's a catcher. He's aware of that. Steps up thinking about first pitch fastball. Watch this swing. Pow, right back behind the pitcher.
You said, Buck, it was an interesting time for Kerrigan to go out.
Yeah, he was breezing.
Yeah. Well, whatever he said didn't work. Now he'll try it without the advice from the dugout to Mark Lemke. Justice at 2nd, Berryhill at 1st. Braves never far from getting back in it with the way they can swing the bat, even at the bottom of the lineup. Lemke, we told you, playing hurt. His average has fallen off the last 3-4 weeks. He's still a dangerous stick for a gapper. There is room in right center field. He hits it down the 3rd base side, and Sean Berry is there to grab it. So the Braves do get 1, but Facero strands 2. 4-1 Expos. Back in Montreal, le receveur, the catcher, Tim Spear, swings and misses at the first pitch by Steve Avery. The Expos lead it 4-1. RBI single and a home run by Rondell White tonight for Montreal. And Spear is behind 0-2 against Avery, who gave up 2 runs in the 1st, 2 runs in the 3rd, and had a 1-2-3 second tonight. Rip up the middle, past Lemke, base hit, lead runner on for Les Expos here in the bottom of the 4th. Friday night, the big pennant race games continue here on ESPN. The Yankees go into Toronto for the first of a 3-game set. Mattingly and Olerud, the left-hander, is impressive at the plate. You saw the pitching matchup. Jimmy Key going against his ex-mates, and then the Giants are at home against the San Diego Padres. It'll be Scott Sanderson to start that game for San Francisco. And after that, Swift is tonight, Burkett is tomorrow, Sanderson Friday. Dusty Maker may be looking to go to the 4-man rotation as the pitcher for Facero punts it foul. He may be looking to go to the 4-man rotation with Swift and Burkett and Torres and maybe Brian Hickerson also in the mix. Trevor Wilson is back, pitched 2 nights ago on Monday and last night. If he can go well in the bullpen over the weekend, he may get a start. But the Giants have to really think about winning every game just about from here on in and hope the Braves can stumble. Facero squares to bunt again, takes the pitch up high.
Colorado will be no easy fare for these two teams down the stretch either. Colorado under Don Baylor has really played hard and well last couple of weeks.
Well, in talking with Dusty today, he said, well, I think, and I believe that the Rockies are 0-10 against the Braves. He goes, well, you got to think they can get one this year, don't you? No, he did not go around, says Randy Marsh, the umpire at third base. So the count is 2-1 to Facero.
Well, Facero's trying to bunt here. But Avery doesn't want to let him bunt. He's not throwing a strike. And now Leo Mazzoni comes out with a very deliberate walkabout. What's going on here? You got a guy that's not real comfortable at the plate. Facero has just 4 sacrifice bunts all year. Remember, he didn't start until the 10th of July. Steve Bedrosian is warming up in a hurry down the left field line. I think this is an attention-getting meeting out on the mound for Leo Mazzoni, the pitching coach. Let's go. Let's be aggressive again.
What is interesting about Avery is that when he is focused, no one can go out and talk to him. I mean, Leo or Bobby Cox go to the mound and he just turns his back and get out of here. But when he loses his focus, they can go out and talk to him. We've seen it there. 0-2 to Tim Spear. These pitches, I mean, he also has failed to make the 5th inning 2 of his last 4 starts.
He's only given up more than 4 earned runs once this year. And there goes the runner. Facero pulls it back. The throw, where is it? It's a frisbee to center field by Berryhill. Each catcher now with an error. And Spear on the third. So instead of getting the out and having him bunt his way over, he's still got the pitcher at the plate and the runner at third.
Tim Spear, with the element of surprise, steals his 2nd base of the season. Facero squares around. Spear's on the run, pulls the bat back, and now the high throw goes off Blauser's glove, and Spear goes to third. Berryhill really tried to hump up on that ball. You could see high over the bag at second, and Blauser couldn't flag it down.
Well, first things first, he's going to strike out the pitcher. Man with only 2 career hits, and Facero will sit down. 1 out, Spear on third. Let's check in with John.
Budweiser takes you to Toronto, 5th inning. Mike Greenwell just hammers this one with a runner aboard. 2-run home run. 4-2 now. Back down the 401 from Toronto to Montreal.
Well, John is driving, not flying, huh? And Steve Avery will fly because Bobby Cox is on the hill and Avery is gone. So they've knocked out Avery, have the Expos. We'll be back.
Driver who plans ahead usually comes out ahead too. That's why it's smart to change your oil every 3,000 miles.
And shop Walmart for savings every day.
Save on Castrol GTX motor oil. It provides maximum protection against viscosity and thermal breakdown. And Castrol Syntec, a full synthetic oil that protects in ways other oils can't.
So no matter where you're headed, head first to Walmart,
where the prices are always going down. Walmart, always the low price, always.
Where in the world would you go if there were no Las Vegas? For this, you'd have to go to Rome. For superstar entertainment, New York. World-class dining, halfway around the world. And you couldn't go anywhere for this. Only in Las Vegas.
Back in Montreal, Steve Avery will not get win number 17. He's out. Steve Bedrosian is in to pitch to the leadoff man for the Expos, Marcus Grissom, with Tim Spear on at third base.
Avery's he's had a couple of these short outings in his last 5 starts. It's the 3rd time he's not been beyond the 4th in his last 5 starts.
Ripped by Grissom to left. Gant is there, tagging his spear. The relay from Blauser is not in time. A 5-1. The Expos lead. It's also sacrifice line drive. The old sacrifice frozen rope by Grissom.
It was almost hit too hard. Spear had to retrace his steps, go back to 3rd. Grissom hit a bullet to left field. But he picks up the base runner.
Steve Bedrosian has been such a big help to the Braves in middle relief this year. Come on, big time in the 2nd half of the year. Cy Award winner with the Phillies back in 1987. The hits first innings pitch kind of tell why. And he gets Delino DeShields to wave at that one. The count is 0-2. The pitcher spot is up next. The lead off for the Braves in the 5th. So as soon as Bedrosian gets out of this half inning, he'll be done for the night, I assume. We talked about the high socks before on Delino DeShields. That's in honor of the Negro Leagues. And it's refreshing in that, you know, a lot of players don't ever read about it, remember. He certainly does. It's very important to him. And that's why he wears the socks so high.
You're seeing more and more young players pay attention to the history of baseball.
Let's hope so. It's great. I studied history at Brown, but even though I enjoyed American history and foreign diplomacy, and I think the baseball history is the most interesting of it all. They didn't give a course in that one, by the way. I kind of did that on my own. And I'm sure there are many viewers out there that are studying the same courses. Now DeShields is aboard, and that'll bring up tonight's hitting star, Rondell White. Cox is seeing his pitcher not do the job this far tonight, and Rondell White, who had a long home run to left field, his 2nd of his career. 21-year-old also had an RBI single in the 1st, and it's funny that up here the first name Rondell, of course you add an E to it, and that's the word for puck in hockey. The Canadiens try to shoot La Rondelle, and they will, by the way, they open up in a couple of weeks defending their Stanley Cup championship. But last night I talked with the Expos PR, Rich Griffin and Monique Giroux. So we have a puck on the team. So what are you talking about? Midsummer Night's Dream? I said, no, Rondell White, not Rondell. You know, John Saunders is chuckling at that one. I would hope so.
Richard Griffin should be writing for David Letterman.
He's great. Oh, what did he say about the battery of when Boucher started and what, Sindel?
Sindel, he's from Windsor, Ontario. It was a double-A battery.
Here's a close play. Oh, a good play by Bedrosian to pick off Delino DeShields. So Bedrock surrenders the sac fly, but does some nifty work towards first base. 5-1 Expos. ESPN's presentation of Major League Baseball is brought to you by the Michelob family of beers, because some days are better than others. And by Le Grand Pied, the Bigfoot pizza from Pizza Hut. The biggest pizza you can get delivered. It's good to read those things live every now and again. Is it not? Top of the 5th inning. Sanka, the Expos lead the Braves 5-1. And Bill Veal-Pacoda, the pinch hitter for the pitcher Bedrosian, on against Jeff Facero. So it'll be Pacoda, Nixon, and Blauser as the Braves try and scratch their way back in it. They've got an uphill climb. Montreal, Pacoda rips it out. Montreal scoring in 3 of the 4 frames thus far tonight. We got a story this evening from the umpiring crew and talking with Randy Marsh that John Hirschbeck, American League umpire, his younger son Michael Hirschbeck had a couple of seizures playing basketball. He's 5 years old, playing basketball Monday night. You know that he's afflicted with ALD, but we got good news on it, and that young Michael was released today from the hospital in Ohio. A little ground ball by Pacoda to DeShields, and on the ready, and there's 1 out. But young Michael was released And it is common in those that have taken blood transfusions, as he has bone marrow from his siblings. And so all the umpires want to let John and his wife know that they're thinking about them at home in Poland, Ohio, as are we. And I'm sure a lot of our baseball fans are aware of the story of John and his sons, family of 4.
I don't know how he's done it this year.
I don't either. My hat's off to him. We think we've had a bad day. So if that's good news, we are happy to report it. Strike 1 to Otis Nixon. Count is 0-1 to Otis. None out. I mean, 1 out, none on. In the 5th, 5-1 Montreal. Jeff Fassero has really kept the Braves off balance tonight. 7 strikeouts here in the 5th. Nixon held off the high fastball.
Well, he's taking a page out of the Braves pitching manual. Go ahead, get strike 1. Get strike 1 and you can do a lot of things with it.
Of course, the Braves try to overhaul the San Francisco Giants. What a great run Atlanta has made to go 47-15 since the break. Their magic number is 9. Giants in a scoreless pitchers duel in the Dome. John will keep us posted. But whoever loses out in this race, be it the Giants or the Braves, well, they could win 100 games. And that brings to mind the teams who have won that total of games who did not get to the pennant, did not get to the postseason. The Cubs in '09, the 42 Dodgers won 104, the 54 Yankees lost by 8 to the Indians. The Dodgers in '62, the Tigers in '61, and the 15 Tigers and the 80 Orioles all won 100 games or more and did not get to postseason. DeShields gets to this ball by Nixon, and there are 2 out. Let's kick it down the highway to John.
Budweiser takes you to Houston. Now, you mentioned the Giants and the Astros, Chris. Well, there were runners on 2nd and 3rd, nobody up, but Harnish got Clayton, as you saw. Then he strikes out Manwaring as well. It brings up the pitcher, Billy Swift, and gets him. He actually the only guy who gets the bat on the ball to fly out to left field, and they get out of trouble. Scoreless in the 6th. Chris.
All right, John, thank you. As Jeff Blauser looks at strike 1 from Jeff Fassero. You talk about Houston going into the season with Drabek and Swindell, and they're the number 4 and 5 pitchers on the staff with Harnish, Kyle, and Portugal. Unreal.
They could have 3 15-game winners, none of whom are named Drabek or Swindell.
None of them who were big free agent acquisitions. Cat is 0-2 to Blauser. Count is 1-2. Braves bats have been quiet. They're quiet in the dugout. And there is strikeout number 9, number 9, number 9, number 9. Played 4.5, 5-1 Expos. Welcome back to Montreal. The Expos lead the Braves 5-1, and Atlanta has their 3rd pitcher of the night. Il lance de la droite. He's a righty, Marvin Freeman.
21 innings, 22 strikeouts. Freeman was on a disabled list, and he hasn't been pleased with his lack of work since coming back. But with this kind of pitching staff, not going to be a whole lot of innings for those middle relief guys.
This is Rondell White, who, remember, was up when DeShields was picked off by Bedrosian in the last half inning. White RBI single in the 1st and a long home run in the 3rd, a solo shot. Went fishing on that one from Freeman, and he's behind 0-2. Marvin Freeman, former Philadelphia Philly. Well, the nickname worked better, Philadelphia Freeman, we understand. But hey, that's what he had then, and so he kind of like what's on your birth certificate. You keep it. Misses to Rondell White. The count is 1-2. Steve Avery was gone after 77 pitches, and well, frankly, he never had it tonight, Buck.
No, he didn't. He didn't have command. He wasn't ahead. Never pitched ahead all night long. 3 1/3 innings, 7 hits. Walked one batter, but what hurt him more than anything was the fact that he was up with his fastball. That's what Rondell White hit out of the ballpark, and man, did he crush it. Not too many nights like that Leo Mazzoni has seen from his starting pitching staff, although Avery has left the game early in 3 of his last 5 starts.
Good eye by the youngster White, who now works the count to 3-2. Leadoff man, bottom of the 5th. 5-1 Expos. John showed you the Giants and Astros scoreless in the 6th. There's a good pitch, a fastball in the outside corner. Freeman has struck out Rondell White.
Well, Freeman continues to have the good strikeout pitch. We're breaking ball catches the outside corner. It's his 23rd strikeout of the season.
So White sits down, and Larry Walker steps up. Walker has walked and flown out to left field. Ground ball to second. Lemke to the crime dog, and there are 2 outs. Of course, the Expos, no team that wins 17 of 18 is going to just say, well, we lost 18-5 last night. Let's give it up. They're 5.5 behind the Phillies, and know that the Braves go into Philadelphia next. So that's what Montreal is eyeing, and the Expos really, they play the Pirates and 2 expansion teams, Florida and the Mets, to finish out the season. So they have a schedule in their favor, because Philadelphia still has to deal with St. Louis the last weekend. But 5.5 is a pretty big mountain to climb. They will give it their best. Sean Berry looks at strike 1 from Marvin Freeman.
Well, the thing about the Expos throughout this hot streak is the fact that they have recognized, hey, we can play with these guys. And now they expect to win every night they take the field. You know, for a long time, when you're a young ball club trying to establish yourself in the league, you go out and play the games and you try to do as well as you can. But when you have some success, it gives you a lot of confidence that you belong in the league.
Hit this one into the orange dome. Finding the ball is the shortstop Jeff Blauser, and a 1-2-3 inning for Marvin Freeman. Ron Gant, Fred McGriff, Terry Pendleton coming up for the Braves. Atlanta Braves looking for some action from the heavy metal of their lineup. 3, 4, 5 hitters are up. Ron Gant and Terry Pendleton each have gotten aboard against Jeff Fassero, who has given up only 4 hits and 1 run. 5-1 Expos as we begin the top of the 6th. Ron Gant scored the only run, and that was just pure hustle as he legged out what was a routine grounder to second base. Came around to score, eventually also stole a base. Gant and McGriff and Justice among the leaders in the National League home run derby. Fassero with 9 strikeouts tonight through 5, but he starts Gant off with a pair of balls as we check out scores from elsewhere around the bigs. Yankees continue to trail. The Orioles tied, and the Jays behind. Big news is the Jays have won 9 in a row. Stottlemyre with the 10 Ks last night. Gant takes this one for 3-0. There's the Phillies score 1-0, and the Giants still scoreless with Houston. A lot of scoreboard watching at this point. 3-0 pitch to Gant. Taking all the way. It's a strike. Gant has, since the acquisition of Fred McGriff, is at .308 with 14 homers and 56 RBIs. Little chopper that'll be wide of third. Now, since that July 23rd mark when McGriff came in, just as 15 homers, Gant and McGriff with 14 each. So,
although they each were on 100 RBI paces before McGriff came.
Yes, they were. Now they're all on it. All of them except the crime dog there. Count is full now to Gant. Leadoff batter here in the 6th. 5-1 Montreal. Gant thought he had ball 4. Instead, it's strike 3. 10 strikeouts tonight. And that matches a career high for Jeff Fassero.
Take a look at his last pitch. Nothing wrong with that thing. Split the heart of the plate right about belt high. Somehow, Ronnie Gant didn't get a good look at that pitch. But remember, the Braves had a beef. And now the fans are up in acknowledgement of Fassero's strikeouts.
Égale son sommet personnel de 10 retraits sur des prises. Now, I read that one off the scoreboard. And that ties a career high, and that's the standing O. Ooh, watch it. That one has hopped into the Montreal dugout.
Well, I think we saw the response to Jeff Fassero being very emotional. And this crowd here has really gotten into this Expo team. I mean, the other night, Clifford Floyd made his major league debut. They gave him a 2-minute standing ovation before he even got up to the plate.
And what about, and maybe we'll have a chance to show a little later, what about the moment when Curtis Pride got aboard over the weekend? His Shields will throw out McGriff. There are 2 out here in the Atlanta 6th. Those of you not familiar with Curtis Pride, he is 95% deaf. Had a game in Harrisburg, went to Ottawa and had a single in the game against the Phillies. And
what a specimen. Quick bat, can run. Minor league free agent. Great decision by the New York Mets to let him get out of their organization. I guess they're so deep that they can let him go.
You don't think that was a good move, eh, Peter?
Unbelievable.
Hit down the right field line, but it'll curve foul by Pendleton. Terry, a double and a strikeout tonight. He had 2 home runs here last night in the 18-5 win. Boy, you know, how often do you see it? You get 18 ones one night, the next night you struck out 10 times and get only 1. That's why they play 162, but soon to be 156 in a year or 2, huh, Peter?
That is the way it looks like it's going to be. They'll shorten it down so they don't have to go into the Iditarod. You know, they don't want to compete with the sled dog races. They like to shorten the season by a week and get the playoffs started a little earlier.
But not next year, right? It'll be 162.
Right,
or could they change that?
They hope to do it for 95.
Well, I'll tell you what. If the roof is off here next year, which is going to be in the Expos or in the World Series, it'll be a tad cold here on Halloween.
Maybe they'll play at the Forum.
Fans thinking strikeout again. The count is 0-2 to Pendleton. 2 out, none on. Top 6. And how often have you heard noise like this in Montreal at a baseball game in September? Too much noise. Fassero wanted to quiet the crowd, or else he'll have to use a timeout. They are having fun tonight. Had about 30,000 last night. Looks about the same. He wanted the strikeout and was up top and outside with a fastball.
You know, Jeff Fassero set the tone for this ball game in the first inning when he came out throwing strike after strike. He's been in the strike zone all night long. He's mixed up his fastball, thrown it to both sides of the plate.
1-2 pitch. Foul back. Count remains the same. You know, half of the strikeouts, Buck, 5 out of 10, been uncalled third strikes. So you talk about keeping the hitters out of rhythm.
Yeah, they've done a good job, both Tim Spear, the catcher, and Jeff Fassero, as far as mixing up the pitch selection. They haven't really relied on one particular pitch for the strikeout. They've gone fastball inside, fastball outside, and they've used the split finger pitch.
Missed for the inside fastball. The crowd thought he got it, but it was inside. 2-2.
Tim Spear slides underneath Terry Pendleton and tries to get the call. May have been inside and low.
Justice waiting a chance. And Fassero has been tough on everyone. Retrait. 11 strikeouts for Jeff Fassero. 6 of them looking. Man, oh man, the K's are all over the park. And the Expos lead it 5-1.
Kellogg's presents the K Factor, and you take a look at the leaders in the American League. Randy Johnson well in front. Jose Rio in a matchup with John Smoltz in the National League. Kellogg's Frosted Flakes K Factor Award will be given to the strikeout leader in the American and National Leagues at season's end. Kellogg's will donate cereal to the 2 winning pitchers' designated charities, and that is the K Factor. Back to Montreal.
Well, John, we have had the K Factor tonight as Jeff Fassero has struck out 11 through 6 innings. The team record for the Expos, for the lanceurs, the pitchers, Bill Gullickson had 18 back in 1980. The next high, Mike Wegener and Floyd Yeoman's 15, so he could at least get up in that rarefied air. And meanwhile, Marvin Freeman will pitch his 2nd inning, the 3rd Brave pitcher tonight. And he'll work to Will Cordero, Randy Reddy, and Tim Spear.
And speaking of that K Factor, if they had never traded Randy Johnson and Gene Harris for Mark Langston, with all due respect for Rondell White, where would the Expos be today?
0-1 pitch is chopped foul by Cordero, who has a pair of RBIs tonight. Fielder's choice in the 1st and a double in the 3rd. Count is 0-2, and Expos fans enjoying themselves tonight. Inside, and boy, they have enjoyed their imported shortstop from Puerto Rico. As one of the billboards, it's great. I mean, this isn't for Will, but it may as well be. Imported wine from Chile. He's been fine wine tonight. Sends this one back to center. And Otis Nixon makes the catch. There's 1 out. Let's go to John.
Budweiser taking us now to Houston. The Giants and the Astros. Kurt Manwaring. The pitch is high, but he gets wood on it. Takes it towards the gap there. That is a double as Willie McGee comes in to score. 1-0 Giants now with the lead. Chris.
And just in case you have forgotten, as Randy Reddy is up and check swings his foul, if the Giants and the Braves tie for 1st place, there will be a 1-game playoff. Coin flip won last week by the Giants. It will be Monday night, October 4th at 7:30 West Coast time, 10:30 in the East, and we'll have it for you on ESPN. Ron Gant has this fly out by Randy Reddy, and there are 2 outs. And the Expos, in case they tie the Phillies, that playoff would be Monday, October 4th in the afternoon here in Montreal. Monday night, we understand. Well, we've had the baseball contract for 4 years, and little known codicil of that contract is that ESPN gets the 1-game divisional playoff. I don't know. I think we're due, don't you guys?
Be great, wouldn't it? Quick playoff. Giants have to be fueled by the score they see up on the scoreboard. We talk about scoreboard watching throughout the month of September, and tonight it could be very significant.
Well, even more significant for them is that they are getting their 2nd strong start in a row from Bill Swift. Pitched just over 80 pitches in his win over the weekend in Cincinnati. And depending on how much he goes tonight, as we told you before, how many pitches he throws and how Burkett feels up tomorrow, it'll be 4-man, I think, for Dusty the rest of the way. 5-1 here. The Expos lead the Braves in the bottom of the 6th inning. Count is 1-2 to Spear. Spear fouls it off. He singled in the 4th and came around to score on the sac fly by Grissom, the 5th Expos run. We're looking at the teams with the best 2 records National League after the All-Star break. The Braves at 47 and 15. That is the best by far in percentage since they went to divisional play. Spear strikes out. So Marvin Freeman has retired all 6 batters that he has faced tonight. But the problem is runs tonight for Atlanta. They only have 1. All right, John, thank you. Some Braves fans here in Montreal, but their team trails 5-1. So each of the Braves and the Phillies pick up a game last night. They're each in danger of perhaps losing a game this evening.
You know, Chris, what's tough about playing the teams that are out of it, they have nothing to lose. They can gamble. They can run when you don't expect them to run. They can play hit and run. And it's always tough when you're playing the Rockies and the Marlins and teams are out of the pennant race.
Yeah, Jeff Facero, you've seen what he's done tonight. 11 strikeouts through 6. He'll work to Justice, Berryhill, and Lemke. 6, 7, 8. In the Braves lineup. Ground ball. Oh, it's booted by Reddy. And the Braves get a break. Second error tonight for Les Expos. And Justice, the leadoff man, is aboard here in the 7th. Just a boot by the first baseman.
Well, Randy Reddy has moved around and played all over the infield, but he's not played an awful lot at first base. It looks like he just got fooled by the big glove. He expected it to go right in that big trapper's mitt at first base, and it went off the heel of the glove.
First base has been something of a Bermuda Triangle for this team. They've gone through 9 different first basemen without much success. They're going to work Clifford Floyd there in the Arizona League this winter, but don't be surprised if they go out and get a veteran like a Sid Bream or someone like that with some stability in that infield next year.
Well, Sid will certainly be available. With the addition of Klesko, we saw that home run last week, and obviously McGriff there every day. I mean, either Klesko or Bream is available, and I got to think it's El Cid at this point.
A guy like that would help those young infielders with their throwing.
Well, as he helped the Braves and as he helped the Pirates. El Cid. Tough for him, although he understands. But I mean, here's the regular first baseman. They get McGriff, and you know that you're going to pinch hit, except for maybe 1 start every 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's really tough when you've been such an integral part of a team and you've played in a couple World Series, and all of a sudden you're pushed to the bench.
He understands it, and he knows that his opportunities won't be as many, but he may have a key opportunity, a key pinch hit as Berryhill fouls it off. Damon is the only RBI tonight thus far for the Braves, a single in the 4th inning. And the Expos getting a lanceur loose dans l'enqual in the bullpen. He is the righty Tim Scott.
He's been a big revelation for this club since they picked him up from the Padres for Archie Shinfako.
Chop into the Braves dugout. That remains a 1-2. Justice the runner at first. Braves trail 5-1. Here in the top of the 7th, there are none out. Chris Berman, Buck Martinez, and Peter Gammons with you from the Stade Olympique, Olympic Stadium, Le Grand Hall. Cicero keeping an eye on Justice, steps off the hill. Toronto was pulled to within 1, we see, at home against the Red Sox.
Munoz 3 home runs in those 2 games against the Yankees, 2 last night and another one tonight.
Inside fastball, 2-2.
Facero doesn't appear to have lost anything off his fastball, and he still has that good command. It's like he may have felt that that was a pitch he'd gotten earlier in the night. But he has really done a job keeping the Braves off stride. Haven't seen too many good swings from them all night long.
Grounder to third. Berry, DeShields, ready. double play. Well, the error by Reddy is undone in a hurry, as Fassero is either striking him out or getting him to hit the ground balls.
Well, he's been around the plate all night long, and he gets this sharp ground ball to Berry at third. DeShields unloads in a hurry, and Damon Berryhill's an easy mark for the 5-4-3 double play.
Well, the best news for the Braves is that Fassero has thrown 92 pitches. The most he's thrown this year is 99. The bad news is if he can go one more inning, they turn it over to Wetland. Do we think Fassero could go the route, or would Felipe Jess be a little bit concerned that he hasn't gone in the 100-pitch zone?
One of the interesting things about him is that he wants to close. And here's a guy that when they told him he was going to be the closer at the beginning of the season, when John Wetland got hurt, he said, I don't want this. I want to pitch in the middle. Then as a starter, he's developed the sense of wanting to finish games. But, you know, here we are, 7th inning, 2 outs, and we haven't had an outfield fly in this game against him.
He's tough to get airborne. He's had a complete game as a starter. But John Wetland has been the horse out of that bullpen.
Yeah, that complete game, Buck. Back on the 19th of August, he threw 94 pitches in that outing against the Cubs at Wrigley. Lemke chops it foul. The count remains at 0-2.
You know, Chris, I'm not a real big advocate of pitch counts. I like to go more on the stress of each pitch. And, you know, it's pretty much of a stress-free night for him. He hasn't had too many tough situations. Yeah, the high strikeout total will lead to a high pitch count. But he's really been in command all night long. I think he's got to feel good about what he's taken to the mound with him. And I don't think he's really going to feel the wear and tear of those pitches.
I like stress-free nights myself, don't you?
Yeah, I always work better in those situations.
Stress-free days, stress-free nights.
Oh, these two games at home here are so important with Fassero and Dennis Martinez tomorrow night, because they're not sure if Kirk Reeder is going to be able to pitch Saturday against the Mets. He's hurt. They may have to start either Denis Boucher or a kid named Brian Looney, who just came up out of the minor leagues.
From Cheshire, Connecticut.
And Boston College, yes, hockey player. And they don't know if Kenny Hill is going to start again.
1-2 pitch to Lemke. He's out in front of that. I just think it's fitting that the pitcher on the Expos on a Canadian team is named Brian Looney. That's the slang for the $1 coins, which have a loon on it. They call them loonies. So I think he'll be a hit up here in a hurry. He's worth every dollar they pay for him. Two guys from Cheshire, Connecticut in the National League. Brian Looney and Brad Asmus, catcher of the Padres. 1-2 pitch to Lemke. Ground ball. Berry fumbles, throws, still has time. A 1-2-3 7th inning. And 7th inning stretch time here at the Big O. The Expos lead the Braves 5-1. ESPN's presentation of Major League Baseball is brought to you by Cold Filter Miller Genuine Draft. Get out of the old, get into the cold. And by Allied Signals Autolite Spark Plugs, guaranteed for 2 years, no matter how far you go. Now here's the bottom of the 7th inning and a standing ovation for the pitcher, Jeff Fassero. Kent Mercker, the new pitcher for the Atlanta Braves, working against fellow lefty Fassero. And he throws his first strike, 1-1. Well, we saw Mercker start last week, but the Braves have off days and such and still have some left. I imagine he's made his last start of the regular season and playoffs if they get there.
Yeah, they'll trim it down to 4 men. Mercker was putting up the 5th spot. Here's a guy that can really throw hard. He doesn't get an awful lot of notice because he's been flip-flopped, worked out of the bullpen. He got a few starts for the Braves, but he's got a live fastball.
And he strikes out Fassero, who Fassero has struck out 11 as a pitcher. He has struck out 3 times at the plate. Let's kick it to John.
Chris, the Red Sox and the Jays trading the long ball. First, Ricky Henderson, his 20th of the year, solo shot. It was 4-3. Jays within a run. But Castillo comes on, and Mo Vaughn gets it back. Looked like he barely got this one, but it's over, Ricky. 5-3 now. Chris.
All right, John, thank you. So the big guns in the AL East are scuffling tonight, as are the guns in the National League this evening. Phillies tied with the Marlins. Braves trailing here 5-1. And Chopper going to be tough play. Unless they let it bounce, they do. There is no way, Jose, that you're going to get Marcus Grissom on a little chopper. So Grissom with the second hit of the night.
Well, you put it on the ground when you've got speed like Grissom, and there are very few opportunities for the defense to make a play here. Merker knows that. He's just hoping it'll roll foul, but Pendleton takes it inside the bag at third. Here's a good idea. Grissom knows he's got a chance for a hit. Boy, he's got a lot of tools. Good power, good speed. Stolen base tonight. Drove in a run with a sac fly.
And he's improved every year in the major leagues.
So Grissom aboard. That stolen base was number 46 earlier. And of course, we told you he won the stolen base title the last 2 years. 7 of the last 13 stolen base titles in the National League have gone to Expos. Tim Raines winning from 81 through 84 for 4 years. 2 by Grissom, and in 1980 Ron LaFleur. So the Expos have always been a go-go team, or at least have had a few that can scat. Here is DeShields, who is 0 for 2 and a walk tonight. 2 runs for the Expos in the first. A single by Rondell White, a fielder's choice by Will Cordero. White a homer, Cordero a double for RBIs in the third, and a sac fly by Grissom in the fourth. There goes the runner, the throw. It's offline again by Berryhill. Stolen base 47 for Marcus Grissom.
Some base stealers rely on great jumps. Others rely on great speed. Grissom doesn't get a good jump. Watch Merker. See, he's not left yet. He had a big high leg kick, but he's got great acceleration. 2 steps and he's full speed. Damon Berryhill rushes the throw. It's high again, and Grissom has his second stolen base of the night. And they better take a double look at him at second, too.
Now the first base he stole tonight was third base in the first inning.
And the Expos love to steal third base. In 2 big situations against the Phillies with a third baseman in, they stole third.
There's a strike on the outside corner to DeShields, 2-1. Kent Magic Merker from Dublin, Ohio. #1 draft pick of the Braves back in 1986. Blauser cheated in. Now back to his position at short. DeShields pulled it back. Count is 3-1. 5-1 Montreal, the bottom of the 7th inning. Jerry Manuel, the coach at third, giving the signs. Louis Pujols. Perfect name for a coach or player here. Pujols. Former Astro, is the first base coach. Chop up the middle, past Lemke. Here comes Grissom. He will score. 6-1 the Expos.
Well, the Expos take advantage of their speed. Marquise Grissom steals second after getting an infield hit. And then Delino DeShields delivers a ground ball off the turf that sneaks through the middle. Lemke can't keep it on the infield. And Grissom scores easily from second.
That's the way that the Expos, and this time they have, oh, they did not get DeShields. I thought they had him leaning the wrong way.
Oh, they did. He was on his way to second base. Merker picked up on it when he got his leg kick up there, and he didn't make a good throw. If he gets this throw down, he gets DeShields. Watch DeShields. Whoop, he's on his way to second, but the throw's high, and it allows DeShields an opportunity to get back. Look at Joe West, the umpire. Perfect angle to make that call.
This is Rondell White at the plate. Hit a long home run in the 3rd inning.
Remember, DeShields was picked off earlier by Bedrosian in the 4th inning.
That's almost twice. White began in Double-A, went to Triple-A, and now he's hitting 3rd in a September pennant race game. What a ride for a 21-year-old. Oh, these Expos, I mean, you know, it's not that long ago, August 20th, they were 14.5 behind the Phillies. If they make up that, and 9.5 on Labor Day, on the 5th of September. No one's been that far back on Labor Day and has overtaken the leader in their division. College football doubleheader on ESPN. Big Ten at 12:30 after our game day with Chris and Coach Corso and Craig James. Number 23, the Badgers of Wisconsin against Indiana. And in our evening game, 7:30 Eastern Time, Rutgers going up against number 8, Penn State. Joe Paterno's Nittany Lions out of the Big Ten this year. Wild game they had with USC.
Chris, I just wonder. I mean, Rondell White might have been brought up to replace Moises Alou. I'm not sure, but it really bothers me. I mean, people talk about baseball, you know, traditions and how, you know, religious they're supposed to be. Why in the world, when you play the most important month of the season, are you allowed to have 40 players on the roster? I mean, they should have the same 25 that they had the rest of the season.
Now, that's been in effect for forever, has it not?
Just because it's old doesn't mean it's right.
No. I agree with you.
Easy, you guys.
No, yeah, that's right. Now, here's an example. The Braves are in the field, and it's, you can't get a seat in the dugout. You got to scalp a ticket in there. I mean, has it always been that way? I mean, I'm talking for 50 years. There's a ground ball to Blauser, the shovel to Lemke, and a nice turn by Lemmer to get Rondell White on the double play. Well, we'll debate 25 and 40 and 25 or 6-4 to 3. Back in Montreal, l'enfant dorme ce soir. The kids may be sleeping, but the Expos have not. And I'll tell you who has certainly not been asleep is Jeff Fassero, who through 7 innings has 11 strikeouts, 7 ground ball outs, a pop-up and a line-out. So, as Peter and Buck have pointed out, no fly balls to the outfield for Fassero. Pinch hitter for Merker is Francisco Cabrera, who swings at a curveball for a strike. Count is 1-1. And now that Fassero has worked into the 8th inning, they're able to get, along with Scott in the bullpen, their outstanding closer John Wetland up. So liner off the glove of Cordero, but he recovers. So first he looks like Angel Cordero, the jockey, but then he fires it across.
Well, that's just a concentration problem there. Yep, by the way, he sees the line drive coming right at him, and he thinks, and then he says, oh, it was a knuckleball. That's what he said. He said it was hit so hard it was a knuckleball, but he's fortunate that it stayed right at his feet, and he was able to pick it up and go to first for the out.
Well, he wanted to give Fassero another ground ball out. He didn't want a line out in the box score. So Cabrera gone, the top of the order up. Otis Nixon, who is 1 for 3 with a triple, but was stranded in the 3rd. Otis showing bunt, which gets Sean Berry's attention to third base.
Now, we talked about pitch count with Fassero, and he's obviously over his high now. Prior to tonight's game, he was at 99, but he still has good pop on his fastball. I think more significant than the number is what you see.
Nixon with a fly ball to right field, and my goodness, a fly ball out. Nixon is gone. Here's John.
Chris Miller Genuine Draft presents this date in baseball. It was September 22nd, 1990, 21st anniversary of Willie Mays' 600th home run, and the Hawks stealing his 300th base to join Willie Mays, the only players with 300 steals, 300 home runs, and 2,000 hits. Back to you.
Say hey in the Hawk. Pretty good company for the Hawk. for anyone is Jeff Blauser. And by the way, I mean, it's almost been a week now, but we haven't done a game since then, and we've been doing football. Congratulations to Dave Winfield on being the 19th man to join the 3,000 hit club. Cicero working to Blauser, who takes the 1-0 pitch for a strike. Winfield, with the 450-plus homers, the 3,000 hits, and the 200 stolen bases, joins only Willie Mays and Hank Aaron in that department. That's pretty heady company. Two out, none aboard. Bounced in the dirt. Count is 2-1 to Blauser. Cicero is 6-1 at home as a starter, and is well on his way to number 7 unless the Braves get going in a hurry. Up top for a ball. It's 3-1. Play again here tomorrow night to close the 3-game series. The Braves have taken 6 out of 10 between these two clubs thus far this season. Good pitch on the inside corner. 3-2. Of course, we've seen the Braves rally before, as in last Wednesday night when they got 5 in the 9th off Cincinnati. Thanks to that man, Ron Gantz, 3-run homer off Rob Dibble.
Well, they're very capable of the comebacks. We've seen it. They came back against Cincinnati twice more in that series. But Cincinnati didn't have John Wetland, and he's cranking it up. And even though there's not a save on the line, Felipe Alou won't let this thing get out of hand by sticking too long with his starter.
Pitch on the way. Grounded is short. Cordero over to Reddy. And a 1-2-3 inning for Cicero again. Heading to the bottom of the 8th. 6-1 Expos. Back in Montreal, our Kelly Springfield Tire Company's key plays of the game. Leading 2-0 in the 3rd inning, Rondell White, the 21-year-old from Georgia, slammed this Avery offering way back and gone into the left field seats. White has 2 RBIs tonight. And on the hill, while White's delivering at the plate, Jeff Cicero, a career-high 11 strikeouts, 6 of them looking. Buck, he's been great.
Yeah, he's been keeping the Braves off stride all night long, and he's done a great job. And yes, you can be on plays of the week.
Yeah, he's made it.
Even the cab drivers imitate Boomer here in Montreal.
No, that's not true.
We just went through it last night. The guy drove us over here, and he kept saying he might go all the way.
Which, by the way, as Mike Stanton is on, I did ask, and in case you want to know what that is in French, il peut va jusqu'au bout. If the Alouettes ever get it on NFL primetime, you'll hear that highlight. Mike Stanton, the 5th Braves pitcher, has a broken thumb, obviously in his non-pitching hand, and he's working to Larry Walker, le champ droit, the right fielder. Walker, Berry, and Cordero. 4, 5, 6. Walker 0 for 2 and a fittingly walk. Good pitch by Stanton. Walker way behind him, 1-2. Looking ahead at the Braves 9th, where they are down, of course, by 5 runs. It's the middle. Gant, McGriff, and Pendleton. So, as Joaquin Andujar said, you can sum it up in one word: you never know. Count is 2-2 to Walker.
Joaquin, now in the construction business in San Pedro, built George Bell's office building. I don't think I would have taken the 7th floor office in that place.
Joaquin the Dog Andujar. Fastball outside by Stanton. The count is 3-2. Well, we have had a heck of a run here on this Wednesday Night Baseball. I mean, I know for a fact by luck of the draw that we've had more exciting finishes this year in the 30-odd games I've done. We've done, Buck. Peter, you've joined us, than probably the first 3 years combined. Walker gets under this. So David Justice moves in and right. Now he's called up by Nixon. And there is one out. Well, the Giants lead 1-0. The Braves are trailing. Terry Pendleton and company surely know how to find the scoreboard.
And if I said I wasn't, it's that time of year. Whether you're 3 games ahead or 9 games ahead, I would still look up to see what the second place team is doing. It's something that's, I guess it's in you when you're in a race like this. And I peek up every 2 or 3 innings. I'll peek up during an inning when there's, you know, a pitching change or something to that effect. I'll look up and see what's going on.
Scoreboard watching, and John will keep us posted. Last report, the Giants still led at the Dome. Swift over Harnish. 1-0. That game may have moved into the 9th.
Yeah, anybody that says they don't look at the scoreboard in the pennant race might not be completely forthright.
Phillies tied in extra innings. There it is, that double by Manwaring holding up. It's like Rod Beck time perhaps at the Dome. Remember, if the Giants win and the Braves lose, Giants have the game at hand. There'd be 2.5 back, but just 2 in the loss column. The Braves are off Monday and the Giants play. That's when they would get even then in the games played category, barring rainouts. Rain outs. Slow curve, foul back by Berry, who is 2 for 3 with a run scored tonight. (6-1) Montreal, bottom of the 8th inning. Next week, who knows where we'll be. We'll wait to see how the Yankees and the Jays series turns out. The Rangers at the White Sox this weekend for 3. The Giants and the Braves battling. The Phillies and the Expos. We get to wait till real late. We'll probably have the old 4 plane tickets to 4 different cities. Hopefully one of them will be the right one.
It looks like we got a chance to have the pennant races jam up again. Giants hanging on. Ollie Cox doesn't look awfully comfortable in the dugout tonight. His Cubs up 3.5, but they trail by 5. You can bet he's watched the scoreboard. He knows what's going on in Houston.
Count remains at 1-2 as Berry chops it foul. Tuning in late, Steve Avery didn't have it tonight. 3 in the 3rd innings. Gave up 7 hits and 5 runs. Since then, the Expos have just scored 1 over a combination of Grosjean, Freeman, Merker, and now Stanton. But Facero's been tough. Little bouncer. Nice play by Blauser over to McGriff. Good play there. Let's play it over to John.
Well, you want to talk about good plays, or are they? The White Sox and the Angels. Tim Raines at the plate. Sends this one out to center field. Chad Curtis with a tremendous catch. Or was it? Let's watch it again. Curtis gets the glove on the ball, but watch it pop out, hit the turf, roll under Curtis. He picks it up and fools the umpires. It's scoreless right now in the 1st. Chris.
Well, the old rabbit out of the sleeve of the hat, eh?
Pretty quick hands.
Will Cordero is up. He is driven in a pair tonight with a fielder's choice in the 1st and a double in the 3rd. With the great Kreskin, Chad Curtis imitating tonight.
Well, everything worked out just right for that play because he had his back to the infield as he hit, and he could tuck that ball in his glove and raise it up very confidently. Yeah, I caught it.
He's going to be a good player. Well, he is one. Angels have some young, interesting players.
Thank goodness Whitey Herzog sort of won that power struggle out there. Very few people know personnel better than Whitey, and the Angels are in the right direction.
Cordero waves at that pitch by Stanton. Remember, Stanton struggled, and he lost his job as closer to McMichael. He looks like he's got the good stuff tonight. Cordero hits this one to center field. Back goes Nixon, but he's got room. And he makes the play. Ron Gant, Fred McGriff, Terry Pendleton, the last hope for the Braves as we head to the ninth. 6-1 Expos. Top of the ninth here in Montreal. Joe West and the umpiring crew over showing it back to Bobby Cox. The Expos lead at 6-1. Let's see what the story is here, Buck. We're checking cork.
Yeah, Joe West is digging at the barrel end of the bat at the end of it, where a bat would normally be corked if it was going to be altered. The umpires picked up the bat, and they say there's something inside, and now they're looking at it over in the dugout. Sometimes those cupped bats like that are very deceiving. We're not real sure, but Cordero was the last hitter in the inning. It could have been his bat, but we aren't sure. We didn't see the bat itself when the umpires had it out on the field.
Looked like they were cleaning out an ashtray. Well, back to action. Cork bat or no. Ron Gant is up against the closer who has been as powerful as anyone in baseball as of late. Remember, he began the year hurt. John Teenage Wetland, who has 38 saves this year and 37 last year. 20 of his last 39 outs are strikeouts. It's called overpowering.
You know why he's overpowering now? You mentioned he was hurt, started out on the disabled list. He broke his toe in spring training when he kicked the protective screen. And while he was on a disabled list, he got himself in great shape. Plus the added time off. He is now strong in August and September.
So Jeff Facero, his job well done with a career high 11 strikeouts, all of them in the first 6 innings. And he is looking up his mark to 12-4. 7-3 as a starter. Gant in foul ground is ready. And there's one out. Well, big update from the Astrodome. Let's go to John Saunders.
Big indeed for the San Francisco Giants with a runner on first. Rod Beck gets Chris Donalds to pop this one up. Billy Swift picks up his 19th win. He struck out a career high 10, but San Francisco can inch a full game closer when you're done. Back to you.
Now, Bobby Cox has not seen that score go up here yet. They don't get cable in the dugout. Plus, they don't get ESPN up in Canada anyway. But he will find out soon enough. So it would be 2.5, as John says, and 2 in the loss column. The same matchup tomorrow night. The Braves here at Montreal. The Giants are in Houston. Here is Fred McGriff, who struck out twice, grounded at second base. 6-1 Expos. Top of the 9th inning. They know the Phillies are in extra innings, 1-1 at home in the 10th against Florida. Baseball tonight coming up next, and they'll have all the doings in the pennant race as we get down to the last 10-11 games. It's a long haul this season, and it's interesting when they have a tighten-up night, which we've had. Chris Myers and company will give you the goods. They'll be in the house tonight.
There's liable to be a few more tightened-up games before this thing's all said and done. Remember, the Braves have to go into Philadelphia. Yankees go into Toronto over the weekend.
McGriff swings and misses. Count is 2-2. The Braves have had 1 base runner in the last 5 innings, and remember, he was wiped out on the double play. The base runner came on an error. So the last hit they got was a single with 2 out in the 4th by Berryhill. Pendleton has a double tonight that came in the 2nd inning. He's on deck. Count is 3-2.
It's interesting about John Wetland. He was telling me today that he absolutely just is sure he's going to fail every time he comes in, that nervous energy. I said, look, Dennis Eckersley and Jeff Reardon have been living that emotional fault line for years. He found that interesting.
Foul tip back into Spear. He couldn't hold on to Spear. Yeah, Wetland came up with the Dodgers and traded a couple times, Cincinnati, then over here.
How do you pass away an arm like that? Huh?
Well, Kevin Kennedy, now the manager of the Rangers, came over to the Expos as the minor league coordinator and then was the bench coach when Felipe Alou took over. He was instrumental in getting both Wetland and Fletcher, two very important moves. A great trade by Dan Duquette to get Wetland.
Swung on and missed by McGriff, who was struck out 3 times tonight. So pitching the story tonight for Cerro and now Wetland. And Buck Cerro, for a guy that never started the majors, to one start before the All-Star game, looks like he knows exactly what he's doing.
Yeah, I think he likes starting, don't you?
Yeah.
He has really taken it and run with it. Good fastball. It's really allowed him to blossom. His breaking pitch has become very effective, and he set the tone of this game early tonight.
Crowd is on its feet as Terry Pendleton is the last hope of the Atlanta Braves. Fouled off. A good night here for those that showed at Le Grand O, the Big O. Canada's 0-1 to Pendleton. Doubled and struck out twice. Strike 2.
This guy has been every bit as good as Brian Harvey in the second half of the season.
Last strike for the Braves, who've lost only 5 out of 31 road games since the All-Star break. They're staring at number 6. Pendleton to left field, over is White, makes the play. Les Expos a gagné. 6-1. 6-1. The Expos win on an excellent job by Jeff Fassero. Wetland does not get a save and closes it down, and Avery loses for the 6th time this year. Well, an interesting evening in the National League as now the Giants have won, the Braves have lost. 2.5 is the lead for Atlanta. The Phillies are in extra innings in the 10th. Chris Myers will update you on baseball tonight. Right now, the Expos are 5 back. We'll see you next Wednesday from somewhere. For Peter Gammons and Buck Martinez and all of our crew north of the border, the final for Montreal, 6-1 Expos. Good night.